You got the new title. You updated your LinkedIn. You mentioned it to a few people. For a day or two, something felt different. Then you looked at your paycheck. Same number. Your corporate title is not a reward for what you have done. It is a signal the organization sends to itself about what to do with you next, and the gap between those two definitions is costing you more than you have been told. By the end of this video, you are going to understand the exact mechanism organizations use to manage your salary ceiling through your title, and once you see it, every promotion announcement you witness will carry a completely different meaning to you than it did before. Let's start at the bottom of the structure. When you enter an organization at the junior level, your title communicates one precise thing to everyone above you. This person is still being assessed. Junior titles do not just describe limited experience. They are a formal, institutional signal that you have not yet been granted trust. You attend meetings, but the information you receive in those meetings has already been calibrated. Certain conversations happen before you enter the room and resume after you leave it. Your ideas enter the discussion and sometimes re-emerge attributed to the layer above you. This is not personal. This is how organizations manage uncertainty about people they do not yet know. The junior title is a probation period with a more professional name. The mid-level or associate title is where the first serious sorting happens, quietly and almost always without your knowledge. Two analysts join the same team in the same month. After 18 months, one becomes a senior analyst. The other remains at mid-level for 3 years. Their daily work looks similar from the outside, but internally the organization has already made its assessment. The person who advanced was read as scalable, likely to produce value at the next level as well. The person who did not was read as a reliable specialist, productive where they are, not a priority for development investment. Neither of them was told this directly. The conversation happened in a performance calibration meeting that neither of them was invited to attend. The senior title is where most professionals plateau, and most do not recognize it as a plateau when it happens. Senior carries the feeling of arrival. It signals mastery. It feels like the end of the proving phase and the beginning of something more substantial. But internally, the senior designation frequently marks the point where the organization stops actively developing you and begins managing your retention instead. You are no longer a development project requiring deliberate investment. You are a known, reliable, stable unit of output. And that is precisely when the organization begins calculating what it takes to keep you exactly where you are for as long as possible, at the lowest possible cost. Here's the part nobody warned you about. When organizations discuss promotion pipelines internally, the senior level is where they perform the first major quiet sort. Who is being developed for genuine advancement and who will be rewarded with progressively senior-sounding versions of the same role. A senior becomes a lead becomes a principal becomes a staff. Each step carries the language of advancement. Each step feels like vertical progress. In many cases, these are lateral moves with vertical-sounding names attached. The title changes, the ceiling stays exactly where it was, and the professional accepting each new title often does so without a full picture of what they have and have not actually been offered. Here's what that costs you in specific, calculable terms. Every title sits inside a band. Your HR function has benchmarked that band against the external labor market. They know a number, the going rate for your title at comparable organizations in your sector. They know exactly where your current salary sits inside or below that range. The distance between what your title is worth on the open market and what you are actually being paid is a figure that exists in a document you have never seen and will not be shown voluntarily. The decision to award you the title without closing that distance is not an oversight. It is a deliberate financial calculation. Titles cost the organization almost nothing to give. The gap between your salary and your market rate costs you real money every single month you remain. Now consider what happens further up the structure. The manager title is the first that genuinely changes your relationship to the organization's power. Managers are now accountable for the output of other people, not just their own work. But the authority that should accompany that accountability, real influence over hiring, over compensation, over performance consequences, often arrives slowly, if it arrives at all. You absorb new accountability before you receive the authority that should match it. The organization describes this as professional development. A more accurate description is subsidized coverage of a structural gap.
The director title is where the performance of seniority diverges most visibly from its reality. Director is among the inflation-prone titles in large organizations. In some, a director controls a genuine budget, makes real hiring decisions, and occupies the rooms where strategic direction is set. In others, a director is a senior professional who was too expensive to lose and too lateral to genuinely advance, given a title because a meaningful raise was not approved. From the outside, both look identical. The test that distinguishes one from the other is simple. Can the person holding this title stop something from happening, or can they only execute what was already decided above them? One of those is a director, the other is a very well-named senior. The VP title follows the same logic at a larger scale. In financial services, the VP designation carries weight and is granted with deliberation. In many other sectors, it has become a retention instrument, a title that signals seniority to the holder and to the external market without delivering a corresponding transfer of actual authority. Two people can hold the VP title in the same organization and have fundamentally different information, different decision makers, and different rooms. The title doesn't tell you which one you are, neither does the salary in many cases. And at the very top, even the C-suite titles exist within this same structure. A chief marketing officer in an organization where the CEO controls brand decisions is not the same role as a chief marketing officer with autonomous budget authority and board access. The title is identical, the actual authority is not. The most useful question at any level of this hierarchy has never been what is the title. It has always been what does the person holding this title actually control? What actually governs outcomes at every level of this hierarchy is not the title itself. It is access. Access to information the organization has not made available at your level. Access to the people who make decisions before those decisions become announcements. Access to the rooms where direction is set before it reaches you as instruction. Your title determines how much of that access you are permitted, which means your title is not a measurement of your value. It is a measurement of how much of the organization's real operations it has decided you are currently entitled to see and influence. The professionals who navigate this most effectively are not the ones collecting titles. They are the ones tracking access. A title is not a map of your value. It is a map of the organization's current convenience. That's corporate GPS, the map they never handed you.